a great honour to be here today, and what an amazing view it is outside, isn't it? What great grounds. I want to also acknowledge, of course, firstly acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands which we meet today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. To the associations, to the guilds, to the institutes that are here today, to each and every one of you, the speakers that will follow no doubt, and of course to the many sponsors that are here as well supporting tonight. It is a great pleasure to be here tonight, and I was here, Frederick, last year or the year before? Last year. So it is a great honour to be back, and I'm truly humbled to address a room full of such talented, accomplished academics here this evening, and I want to start off by thanking all of you for your extraordinary contributions to our society. I also would like to give credit to the Laboratories Credit Union for their support for this evening, for this event this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say that I say this all the time, and I do really mean it. I have one of the most exciting jobs in the New South Wales Parliament as the Shadow Minister for Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology. It would be more exciting, in fact, if there was an election, a state election, and there was a change of government. But as the Shadow Minister, I am passionate about industry, innovation, science and technology. I will let you on with a little bit of a secret of mine. I'm probably the only MP that has a large periodic table pinned up to my wall in my office. I haven't seen an MP that has the size of a periodic table yet pinned up to any of their walls in their offices. But science is something of a passion of mine. Learning, teaching is a passion of mine. I am married to an English teacher, and I see each and every day the work that our teachers do, not just in science and maths and STEM, but in English as well, and every other subject and faculty. Because it is these fields, particularly the fields that I represent as Shadow Minister, that really drives positive change, creates industries, grows industries, and transforms the way we live. And they are the driving force behind good, strong economic growth and prosperity. And in the 21st century, now more than ever, we need to continue to support STEM fields. Our nation and our country, our state, our cities, we are a country of doers, aren't we? And let's not forget that it was this country that created things like the Wi-Fi, for example, the spray-on skin, the pacemaker, the bionic ear, and much more, the black box flight recorder. For years now, we've punched above our weight on the global stage, leading the change on many life-changing scientific endeavours. And it is important to recognise that in a country as lucky, innovation and rich innovation as ours, we have it all. Our resources are vast and our talent is endless. But we must ensure that we harness this raw power and potential to turn it into tangible, positive outcomes. And I know this evening we are going to hear about some of the latest developments from our talented panel of guests this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, in my view, there are a few key things, I think, which governments, both state and federal, can do to support your fields. And in a room full of teachers, and also being married, as I mentioned before, to a high school teacher, I know it all starts with good education. And I think when it comes to STEM, that sentiment rings really true. Now, I might get into trouble at home for saying this, but I've seen firsthand when I visit high schools that students crave the excitement of science and of maths, moreover than English lessons. From the Bunsen burners to the soft drink bottle rocket, STEM excites, it inspires and it motivates young students. And as educators and as policymakers, it is important that we recognise the growing demand from our kids for more investment into STEM education and promotion. I see it with my two young children, particularly my 11-year-old. I recently had the opportunity of meeting and awarding a young student in my electorate her name was Michaela Lucas, who at 16 years old, she also attends my former school, Morris College, Penshurst, who at 16 years old co-developed a robotic melanoma screening prototype design and only 16, can I tell you, to revitalise early detection in rural and regional communities with limited healthcare access. She's truly an outstanding example, and I was pleased to hear she secured a placement at Sydney University, Sydney University School of Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering Work Experience Program. Students like Michaela highlight the growing demand for more STEM workers. And the Tech Council of Australia projects a shortfall of more than 445,000 tech workers by 2030. And furthermore, women are significantly underrepresented in STEM fields, comprising of 28% of the STEM workforce and 16% of STEM university graduates in Australia. And this is why a key priority of mine as Shadow Minister is supporting STEM in the education system. This means introducing compulsory STEM, and the previous Liberal National Government here in New South Wales sought to introduce compulsory maths in senior years of schooling. This was unfortunately repealed by the current government due to a lack of resourcing in the system to support such a move. We can't afford to continue seeing a lack of uptake in maths and other STEM subjects, as it repeats the cycle of not seeing enough educators in these areas in the future, for the future generation. And expanding the idea of compulsory maths to all STEM subjects, takes the pressure off, whilst we still ensure that our education system is encouraging engagement and a love for lifelong learning into these spaces, further into school life and hopefully beyond. Students need those foundations, don't they? The academic foundations of critical thinking to thrive in a competitive, globalised workforce, whether it's for everyday problem solving or preparing for the jobs for the future in science, technology and engineering. STEM plays such an important role and is so valuable for students and government, so valuable for students. And government needs to, all levels of government, needs to better recognise and support this. So it's also important that once students leave the education system, that we build a pipeline. And it's really critical that we do this for apprenticeships and trades as well. An emerging issue I have been hearing from stakeholders in the sector for the last couple of years now, particularly for innovators, is that there is a difficulty in recruiting people into jobs across the innovation, across the science, and across the technology space. So governments need to work closely with stakeholders and investigate how we can improve, micro-skilling with current and future courses to offer to ensure that future workforce into the future is well equipped. Ladies and gentlemen, our workforce as a country is changing rapidly, and as we move towards an era of advanced manufacturing and scientific-based jobs, it is really important that everyone in our society is brought along the journey with us. By upskilling our current workforce and by ensuring that future workforce enters the job market with the necessary skill set, we can guarantee a steady flow of workers through our economy. By creating that necessary workforce, we can then also focus on emerging industries. And governments needs to be supporting these industries into the future in areas of defence and space and science and technology. And if the jobs we want to create will still be around in the future. So this is a key area of mine as the Shadow Minister, putting pressure on governments, both state and federal, of all political persuasions, to ensuring that they're there supporting industries into the future, as I mentioned, in defence, in science and technology, and of course in space. Every economic powerhouse has a strong manufacturing base, and New South Wales cannot just be a service economy. and that's really important. We have to keep making things here in New South Wales. And to do this, we must listen to industry and pivot to what works, and that is profitable in the 21st century. And as it currently stands, the days where local manufacturers could produce a product in its entirety can at times be no longer viable, unfortunately. If government is to truly bring back a thriving manufacturing industry, we also need to be looking towards supporting and fostering manufacturers that focused on components of a product instead. From companies like Custom Denning, who are making buses, or Burden, which are making defence manufacturing in Port Macquarie, both for Australia and for America. New South Wales has a number of successful manufacturers, but of course we can do better. As you know, major discoveries and theories in physics and mathematics and engineering and chemistry have shaped and continue to grow in an exceptional rate. Because of this, financial investment needs to be targeted from both governments in particular. Grant programs cannot afford to take 12 months to distribute funds to researchers, and I'm sure there are people in this room who have waited for many, many months, if not years, from government grants and researchers to have that funding provided to them. Delays can be critical in this space. We need to ensure that, of course, bureaucratic structures and rigid hierarchies hinder the flow of innovation thinking and slow down the implementation of groundbreaking concepts are stopped. And this is why forums like this tonight are just so important. Working together is critical. Hearing from a range of experts tonight on the latest and future developments in the fields offers insights as well as inspiration for the kind of research that can and is being undertaken here in New South Wales. New South Wales, as I've mentioned many times, both in fact at forums such as this, has been and needs to remain the driving force for innovation, science and technology here in Australia. Because when New South Wales is at the forefront of innovation, science and technology, Australia becomes a leading nation globally. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you all look forward to the presentations here tonight. Finally, as educators, whether at a high school or a university level, the work that you do in fostering a culture of interest in science and technology is really, truly important, but is also remarkable, and I've seen many of it firsthand. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank all of you for the work that you are doing, both in our great state and across the country. I look forward to hearing from many of you here tonight. Thank you.